Have you ever thought about leaving your job and pursuing your dreams? Do you have a really good career and it pays really well and it's comfortable, but for some reason you feel like it's uncomfortable because you feel like you're meant for more? You feel like you're not pursuing your full potential? Well, let me tell you, I spent 5 years thinking about this very day where I would leave my career. And last week, I actually did it. And I want to tell you what my journey has been like in this last week where I spent a whole week finally working for myself full time. My name is Mindset Mary. I am a certified high performance mindset coach. I focus on how do we have high performance in all areas of our life, not just our careers, but also in our personal lives, also in how we feel about ourselves, also in our relationships, also in our finances. How do we have high performance across all areas of life and categories that actually matter to us? The areas that give us a great quality of life, a great quality of relationships. So today I want to tell you about my experience. About 5 years ago, I decided that I wanted to pursue my passion, only I didn't know what that passion was. And how many of us don't really know what we're here to do? What are we on this earth for? What are we supposed to create? What impact are we supposed to have? We don't know because we're not focused on those things. We're focused on what we don't have. We're focused about what we don't want. We're focused on all the things that actually don't give us joy and happiness. So I got really clear on starting to ask myself different questions. Have you ever heard the saying when people say, like, the answers are in the questions? Well, I never understood that. But as time went on, I realized I was asking myself the wrong questions. I was asking myself questions like, why am I unhappy? Why don't I like this? Why is life so mediocre? Why don't I like my relationships? Why? But I was focused on all the negative. What happened was I decided to start investing in my own personal growth and my own personal development. And through that investment, through the courses and seminars I was taking, I learned that actually our thoughts truly direct our life. Our thoughts direct our emotions. Our thoughts direct our decisions. And I realized that I was having so many disempowering thoughts that were leading to disempowering emotions that led to some bad decisions that produced some bad results. And thankfully, I was able to rearrange and re-engineer my life to get to where I am today, where I'm speaking in front of you, being a single mom with 4 kids, thriving, leaving my career, my well-paying, comfortable career of 23 years, only to go all in on me, my dreams, my aspirations. And I want to tell you that this is a possibility for you, but you need to be able to direct your mind and direct your thoughts to the things that you actually want in your life. So I've just spent the first week working for myself full time. There are a lot of things that happened, and I would love to share them with you because I want you to benefit from my experience. If you're thinking or on the fence about leaving your career, leaving your job, doing something that matters to you, then maybe you can have some things to think about and learn from my experience. So there's the good stuff, and then there's the other stuff. And I don't want to call it bad. I just want to call it learning. Okay, so let's start with the good stuff. First of all, it felt amazing to not have to wake up and be exhausted from having to work full time and then put in a bunch of hours on my side hustle and work on doing everything all at the same time, all the time, and just feeling totally burnt out over it because I just didn't have the time. And I felt pulled in so many directions. I wanted to produce great work for my career and my colleagues, but then I also didn't want to abandon all the work and momentum I've been building on my side hustle as a mindset coach. So it was just really nice to not have to think about my career, my deliverables, letting my team down. I don't want to think about that anymore. And I just want to put all my energy and attention on my side hustle. That was a big win for me. Second of all, I felt a little bit less stressed in terms of just not having as many things to think about. There's always lots of things to think about, but when you take something as big as a career off your plate, I have to admit it does help a lot. Okay, but it doesn't help completely, and we're going to get into that next. Lastly, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to step back and just acknowledge the fact that this huge chapter of my life just ended. And I left my career on a really high note. I had amazing performance reviews. People loved me. People didn't want me to go. People enjoyed working with me. And that felt amazing. I never really realized just how much I was appreciated at work, but certainly at my going away lunch, I could feel that everybody really, really respected me and really acknowledged the fact that I did a lot for the team. And that felt amazing. It felt great. And, sometimes I don't acknowledge myself for what I do. I just think, well, that's just what you're supposed to do. But I do value my career and I did value my contributions. So I always produced high quality results. So those are some of the great things that happened last week. Now, I want to talk about some of the things that kind of caught me off guard. So if you end up leaving your career or your job, then I would love for you to know this before you leave so that you can be ready for it. Okay, so let's start. Number one, I thought if I was working on my business full time, I would no longer feel the constraint of feeling like I don't have enough time. Now, let's talk about that and unpack it. I used to feel like, well, I don't have enough time because I have a full-time career. Well, I don't have enough time because I need to do all these things. Well, I don't have enough time. Well, you know what? I just allowed myself to leave a job where I had to give 8 hours of my day to. And for the fact that I still don't feel like I have enough time tells me that time is just an illusion of our creation. Okay. If I didn't feel like I had enough time when I had 8 less hours, I'm not going to feel like I have enough time if I have 8 or 10 or 12 more hours. And the reason that is because I am looking at everything I need to get done. And I'm also looking at the amount of time I have to do it. And naturally, we are never going to have time because sometimes our expectations of what we think we can achieve in that day are totally unrealistic. And I will be the first one to put up my hand and say, I am so guilty of thinking that I can achieve so many things in any given day. And it is so untrue. And what happens when that occurs? We basically set ourselves up for failure. We set ourselves up for not meeting our own expectations. And then we start feeling like, oh, well, we're not doing a very good job of managing our time. But really, it's actually more related to being intentional with our time. What is it that we have in terms of time? How much time do we have? And what's reasonable? What can we achieve in that amount of time? And I think my intentionality was not there in terms of what I wanted to accomplish that day. I had a huge list, a to-do list of like all the personal things that have to get done in the house with the kids, with me, and all that stuff, which is fine. And then I had another even bigger list on what needs to happen in my business in terms of acquisition of clients, in terms of social media, in terms of my professional development, in terms of servicing the current clients. I had content creation. Like there are so many things that I had on that list. And every day I would look at the lists and I would try to figure out what I needed to tackle. And I was completely distracted. I was distracted from the list. I was distracted because there's just too many things and it was overwhelming. I was distracted from the cat that kept meowing, wanting treats. Like the distractions, honestly, they didn't end. It was either a phone call, a text message, a social media ping. Like it was coming from everywhere. And what was I doing? I was giving distractions my attention. And as you know, our attention is our currency, right? Like, how do we use time? We use it through attention. Attention is the currency in which we start using up that time. I was not being intentional around what I was going to use my time for. So that brings me into the next thing, which is if you're going to create a list of all the things you want to get done, then I would recommend that you look at that list and identify when you're going to get them done and what time you're going to get them done. So time blocking is something that I am now introducing into my routine so that if there is a morning block, that I'm doing a specific activity in that morning block. Also, blocking or creating themes around your days. Like on Mondays, I do content creation. On Tuesdays, I coach. On Wednesdays, I do interviews. So also breaking down your days into themes could be very, very helpful in helping you stay focused on what you're doing with your days, what you're doing with your time. So another thing I want to talk to you about is celebrating your wins. Now, I had a long to-do list, and as I looked back at it this weekend, I probably scratched off about 60% of the items that were on my to-do list. And at the same time, I felt like I really didn't do anything. Like every day, the day would end and I would say, wow, I am no further ahead. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm falling behind. I don't have time. What am I? And I was actually super critical, super critical of myself, super critical of what I'd accomplished in my time. I want you to be able to not do that should you decide to leave your job, because there's no worse feeling than making such a big decision and then being off and not realizing what it is that you're doing with your time. Because if anything, if you're driven, if you're a high performer, if you are always looking to the future, you are going to be even more hard on yourself. Before I used to say, yeah, but I have a full-time job, so it kind of makes sense that I'm not making as much progress as I'd like. Well, I don't have that excuse anymore, right? I don't have a full-time job. So when I don't make progress, that's on me, right? But what I realized is if I don't have the systems in place, the processes in place to be able to structure my day and manage my time, then it's basically going to fail. I'm going to fail, and I don't want to fail. So it's really important for us to really look back and reflect, like, why was I feeling inefficient? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What can I improve upon? And one big thing that I realized last week was I did not integrate my wins. So what does that mean? That means at the end of the day, look at what I actually did get done. Go back to the list and look at what I completed and say, hey, Mary, that's a great job. Good job on completing that. Oh, that was a big task. Okay, that was a big win in terms of, okay, somebody has agreed to do an interview with you. That's wonderful. Oh, you got this client. Amazing. But I didn't do that. So anything that I accomplished, any task that I striked out because it was done, anything good that happened in that week. And let me tell you, so many good things happened last week. I just didn't realize them until yesterday when I looked at the list and thought, oh, wow, actually, I got a lot of stuff done. This is great. Oh, and this person agreed to be on the podcast and that person reached out. And it's like, okay, these are all good things, but I'm not integrating them and saying, hey, wow, that's good. Let me take a moment to appreciate. Let me take a moment to celebrate what's happening here. And I think that if you spend all your time looking at all the things that aren't yet done and aren't yet accomplished, and you continue to look out into the horizon thinking, I need to be there, but I'm only here, but I want to get there. All you're going to do is fixate on the gap that exists between where you are and where you want to be. But you want to be able to intentionally stop in your place, look back on what you've done, what you've accomplished, and celebrate and integrate so that when you move forward, you are more confident, you are more proud, and you're more ready to tackle on the next challenge. So those are some of the teachings and some of the reflections that I had from my first week off work and into my new career. I hope this has been helpful. And if it's been helpful, then I would love it if you can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And please do leave some comments down below. I read all of them and I always respond. So hope to see you on the next episode with Mindset Mary. Take care.